Hello everybody, welcome back on Unversedpodcast. Podcast. Danny here. Today I'm talking about Yozakura Quartet. I finally caught up to what was available. And yeah, let's get into it. At one point I was like, yeah, this looks interesting, right? At first I had no idea what this was about. It didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I thought this was about music, based on the cover and based off of the name. And I was like, okay, well, aside from that, let's see what is going down here. Let's see what's this manga is going to give us. And it is a slice of life manga involving a world where humans and Oni interact with each other. And it's mainly just this neighborhood. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. And seeing where it goes, it's like, it should have just been a slice of life manga. Because it does a lot of action. It does a lot of combat, And I see what it tries to do. Because I remember reading this, made me think of, it's trying to be Blue Exorcist, right? And Blue Exorcist, if you don't know, is a monthly manga from Shonen Jump about demons and all that. It's trying to do that here, and it just doesn't execute it as well. Story writing's okay, but it's like average, I think. It's nothing awe-inspiring, nothing amazing here. It's just your typical manga where it's like, yeah, well, this and this happens, and there's a lot of stuff that's hecka weird here. I don't know, like there's these things called half demon, half yokai, right? Humans tempting into the demons or something like that. And like every villain that they fought, that's their age, right? Once they cleanse them of this evil, then they're just like, yeah, you want to stay in the town? We got to watch after you after all. And then they become best friends. And it's like, what's really happening? And for a long time in between fights, it goes back to normal slice of life manga. And I'm fine for the slice of life manga. It could have stayed like that, but it's like, it wants to be something more. It realizes that if I want to get bigger, I have to be an anime. Or if I want an anime, I have to become this action manga that people will like. But that's not its strong points, And eventually, it's towards the end of this, it's converted fully into a battle manga with a little exposition, but I don't know. I'm just not really feeling it. That's why it took me so long to read it. I didn't want to, it's a monthly manga. And yeah, I mean, monthly manga and all that. And I just felt like, do I really have to read this? Like, do I really want to? I mean, I was already halfway through and I figured, well, if I'm halfway through, I'm going to finish this. Was my plot, was my idea in the back of my head. So I was like, well, whatever. Let's just do it. And, eventually caught up and I was like, wow, I didn't know why I caught up. There's nothing interesting here in Yozakura Quartet. There's a lot of dialogue. There's even a lot of flashbacks, There's even a lot of flashbacks and I don't care for most of the stuff, Like, sure, like you get all deep into these characters, into these kids that you're looking at, but it's just, what's the point? I'm just not feeling it here. It's just a normal thing to see. And honestly, it's just, leave it at that. I don't really recommend it as far as, if you're interested in something like this, I'd say rather go read Blue Exorcist. There's some cool characters here, but I don't think these characters alone justify this manga being recommended, right? It's too just plain, and it tries to be something more than what it should be. Like I keep saying, it should just been a slice of life manga about humans and yokai interacting with each other. And you could have made it a comedy, and that could have been funny. It could have been a good time. Instead, you try to get serious with the action while still keeping a little bit of humor in these characters. And there's sort of a slight etchiness. Like, it has materials that makes it try to be your typical shonen manga. Right? You have the love interest on the main character. You have, the perverted character, the sense of humor. When it gets serious, you get hit with the tragicness of the characters and their loss and all the action. And that's it. It does all that at a very low level, I think. And it could have really done more. But instead, it's just doing whatever, it's just doing what it wants to do. But yeah, honestly, that's all I have to say for this manga, Yozakura Quartet. I don't really recommend it, for the sake of just reading it, I just don't see how it's appealing. It has its fan base, but honestly, like, even looking at the covers of this, they're very ecchi in a sense, and I think that's what people try to go for. That's what's supporting it. Cause the action's decent, right? The scenes are decent, but I don't know, just some of it, I'm just, well, you had an interesting idea and it didn't fall through to how I would have enjoyed it. So it just goes down in my book. I don't really care for it. I guess I'll keep up, if new chapters come out, I'll just chill and just check them out, see if it's even worth my time. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Yozakura Quartet. And it's Happy New Year, everybody, at the time of this recording. And definitely going to have more reviews for manga that I'm reading this year. I was just been a big slump right there in the back half of last year. Just caused me with so many projects and stuff that I was working on. And now I'm kind of slowing down on that. But I'm going to definitely be reading some new mangas that I am actually interested in. So stay tuned for that. And remember, you can always follow us at unversedpodcast anywhere you go on social media, and you could email us unversedpodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And as always, we will talk to you next time.
ジャックが仲間になった。